Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm Ricky Camilleri, your host of Build today. In 2016, Ryan Reynolds unleashed a profane, hilarious, and violently self-referential superhero into the world with Deadpool. Now, this Friday, fans can see the mercenary's triumphant return, and this time he's got a lot more friends with him. Let's take a look.
We getting close.
You all know the drill. Intercept the convoy. Watch out for Cable. Hit it! There's this kid. He's in trouble.
Move or die.
Pump the hate brakes, Thanos. I ain't letting Cable get to him. But I can't do this alone. We need backup. We're gonna form a super duper fucking group.
It's time to get back on LinkedIn.
Meet Bedlam. My name's Shatterstar.
Domino, I'm Lucky.
Luck isn't a superpower. And certainly not very cinematic.
Yes, it is.
Let's meet in the middle and say no, it isn't. Fuck it. It's showtime.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I'm rocking my peers, putting suckers in fear, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom. Explosion, damage, damage.
You're no fucking hero. You're just a clown. Dressed up as a sex toy.
So dark. You sure you're not from the DC universe?
And mayhem pass me a sissy, so it's something I'm playing. Mama said knock you out. I'm gonna knock you out. Mama said knock you out.
Bring it on, One-Eyed Willie. Ooh! Yeah! Your bullets. They're really fast.
And last but not least,
Peter.
Any power you want to tell us about?
I don't have one. I just saw the ad.
You're in.
Everybody, please welcome the incredible cast of Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds, Josh Brolin, Miranda Baccarin as he beats Julian Dennison and David Leitch, the director. Guys, thanks so much for being here. Congratulations. I've seen the movie. It's incredible. You did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's really funny. The action sequences top the last movie. Talk about, Ryan, you're credited as a writer on this one. Talk about going into writing this one. What did you want to do?
The first movie I was pushing for 11 years to get it made, and we had about 8 years to get that script right. This one they gave us about 8 months. So really, it was just more of a holy shit situation. Let's all hands on deck. Let's get this script out. But we had the story beaten out in while we were shooting Deadpool 1. We just never imagined Deadpool 1 would do so well that we would be required to do another one. So we were all kind of shocked. But it's a great process. I mean, Rhett, Reese, and Paul Wernick are geniuses, and they're guys that I've known for closing in on 10 years now. So we're sort of like brothers. And we're not afraid to tell each other, you know, this sucks or that sucks, let's make this better, that sort of thing. So it was the three of us. We were at my house for a good chunk of it as well, just sort of almost living together. And
Good chunk of the 10 years?
what's that?
Of the 10 years?
Yes, yeah, good chunk. They won't leave. They're in there right now, actually. They're raising my children.
Spare room?
because
Is
we
it a
need someone
basement,
to-
an air mattress they're on?
I would never give them such luxuries. No. They just have a slow dripping water
Pancakes under the
faucet,
door
and that's
kind
it.
of thing?
Lots
Yeah.
of pancakes under the door. Yeah.
Do you basically set up a list of kind of like pitfalls that you don't want to sort of get trapped in when you're going into doing a sequel like this? Because you don't get trapped in any of them, which is sort of a rarity and a shock.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that we dropped the ball on is just calling it Deadpool 2. I think we could have done something more to distinguish ourselves from Deadpool 1. But we definitely went back and forth on about 100 different
subtitles.
Yeah, Escape from Unicorn Mountain, Escape from Josh Brolin's pants, all kinds of crazy things. But yeah, we ended up just sort of going with the lazy Deadpool 2. But Yeah, the other pitfalls are just, it's like the sequel traps, it's also that you're in a movie that is meta and that is self-referential, so you don't want to sort of skate on that thin ice of referencing the sequel thing, where we're making a sequel, that sort of stuff. So we really sort of steered clear of that and really just wanted to ground the story in actually a sort of an emotional bedrock. Deadpool's extremely funny, but Deadpool doesn't work unless you position him as the sort of the underdog to a certain degree. So you got to put Deadpool in a position where his back is against the wall and we're rooting for him, because the more pain he's in, the funnier he is. So he filters all his pain through the prism of humor, and I love that about him. I think that's what I've always loved about him. So
he's also not existing in a sort of universe-destroying stories, right? Where like the villain is going to be sort of creating some kind of apocalypse.
Yeah, we don't have the
no
budget
offense.
for that. Like, we don't, the world is that's one of my favorite lines in the movie. Is there's a moment where he says, Cable says, in 50 years from now, the world is just totally screwed, and it says the planet's screwed, and Deadpool just kind of laughs and says, "Oh, planets," because he's just not the guy that cares about saving the world. He's the guy that cares about saving this kid, in the film, and so his sort of goals are always short-sighted and kind of myopic and selfish and that sort of thing. So his journey is to be selfless. So yeah.
Josh, this is your second superhero movie this year. What made you make the leap?
Ever.
Ever. Oh yeah, that's true. Ever this
There
year.
was Jonah Hex, but we don't count that.
No.
Like we don't count Green Lantern.
No, doesn't
Nope.
exist. Never saw it.
Didn't happen.
Never heard
Never
of those
happened.
movies.
Never happened. I love that there was applause.
They're like, we've heard of it.
We've heard of it.
What made you want to be Cable? And you apparently signed on for 4 movies.
I'm a big. There's 4. Yeah. I'm a huge Ryan Reynolds fan, and that's not a joke. I was the one that carried him through those years in the desert.
Yes, he was.
I was
He
the one that
was.
stuck with him
Bringing
after
me
the
to water,
proposal.
feeding me like a little baby bird, chewing the food.
No, I really am.
putting it in
I'm
my
a
mouth.
big fan, and I remember I saw him at a party, I think, and I saw how he towered over everyone, and I remember he stood out, and I was like, holy shit, that's the guy from the fucking Proposal. And I love that guy. That's the movie that I don't tell anybody I watch until I have to promote a movie like Deadpool 2, and I tell everybody.
Did you walk over to him at that
I
party?
did
and you're like,
not. No,
I
you
love
don't
the
do that.
Proposal.
No, when you see a real movie star, you stay away and you gawk, from a distance. But no, and then I this thing came along. I talked to him. I actually sent him an irreverent email that kind of like, can we find this banter back and forth? And I don't even remember what it said, but his email back was much better than mine. And I thought, this is going to be great, because what he said, he said, think about it in this kind of Eddie Murphy, Nick Nolte kind of way, this volleying, and I liked the idea of that. And then I read it, and I thought it was funny. I talked to David Leitch, who was amazing. I talked to Simon Kinberg. So it all made sense in that moment, even though I was doing Avengers and I didn't want to do another quote-unquote tentpole movie. This became an inevitability.
I did not write him back a beautiful email. I sent him a box of nudes.
Also potentially beautiful, though.
Yeah, some well lit, expert French lighting.
Leibovitz
Really
shot
good.
them.
Totally,
Yeah.
100%.
Marina, you're back for the second film as well. When you made the first one, did you expect that there was going to be a series of sequels? It was really the first R-rated superhero movie, and you were particularly a part of some of the more R-rated moments of the first movie.
I don't know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the photos he sent me? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, it was definitely a surprise to all of us, a very welcome surprise. But it was easy and effortless in the sense that we had so much fun doing it, and I was really excited to be able to, we signed on to do like 10 movies. Let's do them. Oh my God. No, not really.
How many do you sign on for when you signed up for the first one? Just the first one? Or?
To be honest, I don't remember what the contract is, but it's at least 3, maybe 4. I don't know. You have to sign your life away if you want the privilege of being in Deadpool.
No, hold on. It's Fox. 20th Century Fox. These people are crazy.
They are. It's true.
They're like,
It's not the movie that makes you do that. It's the studio.
Your children.
But they
signed on
also,
for-
if it's a big hit, they want to have you, to have the option.
Julian, Zeze, this is you're joining the Deadpool family. What does it feel like?
Fun, yeah. Annoying.
I'd say
Annoying.
Yeah, a lot of them are annoying.
fun as well.
Like the family you never wanted to have, that you have.
Like a new stepsister coming in, and Everybody really welcomed, I think, us both in really nicely.
They were really welcoming and really patient with me, especially. I'm just this little kid from New Zealand, so it was really cool being able to be a part of such a big film. So it was an honor, actually.
Was it nerve-wracking for you?
Oh, yeah, of course. I was really intimidated, especially by Josh as well, because he's so angry-looking in all of his films. I actually had no idea who he was before doing...
Neither did anybody else.
Yeah. Googled most of the people here. No, it was really cool. I was really intimidated by all of them. I'm a millennial,
you
whatever
Googled
you
us.
call them. Yeah.
There's a strange thing called honesty that none of us really understand.
Don't ever lose that. Don't let them take it away from you.
I won't. Never.
You have some incredible fight sequences in the film. I know you from your work on Atlanta, where there's far less fighting and fight sequences. Did you have to do a lot of training going into this?
I did. I basically 2 months before we started shooting, I started training every day, and it turned into about like 4 hours a day. And then while we were shooting, like I'd shoot, and then on our off days, I would go train. I think everybody kind of did a version of that.
Just Skechers shape-ups for me. So.
But that was also, particularly with the fighting, since Dave comes from such a stunt background, he really wanted me specifically. I mean, I know you kind of used your double a lot.
Thanks, Sassy.
But since you see my face, he wanted me to do as many as possible, as much of my own stunts as possible, and so I
That
think
mask
I did
comes in
most
handy
of
for you,
them.
huh?
Sure does. I've actually this is the first time I've met these guys. It's great.
All ADR for you.
Yeah,
Just
ADR.
laying it in afterwards.
I mean, I don't know how much of my stuff you used or didn't use, but yeah, it was a lot of training and
A lot, yeah.
So.
But of everybody's, so.
Especially mine.
Yours, yes, the water tank. We used all that footage.
David, you've created two really beautiful worlds that one has gone on to become a franchise in and of itself, John Wick, and I think there'll probably be some sequels to Atomic Blonde because it was pretty fantastic as well. What's it like stepping into a world that's already been created before you?
I mean, it was pretty daunting, actually, because you know the things that Ryan and the team had created was so beloved, and then there was an expectation for the sequel, so it was really kind of like had to have a gut check. Do I want to step into this and can we deliver? But after meeting with Ryan and Simon and Rhett and Paul and hearing where they wanted to take it, and then knowing that the world is creative enough and big enough that I could have my own voice in it, but still be true to the original, that I was like, okay, let's do this. And great collaborators.
How would you define or say what your voice was within the film?
I think the movie, there are a couple things that, to stay true to the DNA of Deadpool, you need an emotional hook. And it needs to be centered around Deadpool and sort of an existential crisis. And then you need all that irreverent comedy. But what I thought I could add is we're moving into the summer space, and maybe we needed a little more scope. Maybe we needed a little more action. And then maybe we could sort of change the palette and have fun with all those sort of trappings. But I think at the end of the day, an emotional story and the irreverence, that's the key that makes Deadpool work.
How do you guys manage the emotional story and the kind of self-referential, winky humor in the middle of it? We were talking backstage, and you were talking about alternate takes and how much work you kind of have to do to have all this this sort of mountain of stuff that you can pull from in the editing room.
It's a bit of a tightrope walk. I mean, Dave can attest to that. It's tonally, that's where he was so amazing, because I can, as Deadpool, have a tendency. I mean, I'm behind a mask. I sort of feel so free. I have a Deadpool. I have a tendency to just want to jump off a cliff and take everyone with me sometimes in some of these takes. And Dave is great at kind of seeing the macro, the sort of the long term. How is this moment going to define the rest of the film? And he just really found that kind of perfect tone. And yeah, you have to be emotionally invested, but you also have to be kind of taking the piss out of things. Deadpool, to a certain degree, is satirizing the comic book world in a way.
Supposed to exist within it and give an entertaining ride to the audience.
Yeah, and that's something that is so much fun to portray, and it's so much fun to do. But we'd grab as much as we could because they always say there's 3 parts of the screenwriting process: is writing the script, shooting the film, and then editing the movie. Is again, you're still writing. So it was great to have. Dave would sort of insist on these certain scenes that I sometimes would go, I don't know why we want to shoot that or why we need that, and then those are, of course, the scenes that hold everything together in the movie, as I see now. So.
Well, you think you can subvert an emotional moment with comedy, or you can do the opposite. And like in every scene has that structure, and it's like finding what we wanted to do in every scene, through the whole of the film. So I mean, so that it is a tightrope. I mean, we were building it, testing it, building it, and
I think you guys both, speaking as somebody who acts as sort of an emotional anchor to this relationship, and the love they have for each other is so intense. And I feel like there were many moments where it could have been very, very, very dramatic and very serious, and instead, like you said, we took the piss out of it, and it kind of works better because you're not telling the audience what to feel. You're being genuine in a moment and what these two how they would be with each other, and it ends up being more heartbreaking in the end.
Well, oftentimes laughter pulls people in or makes people relate to characters more than any kind of drama can, and the drama can become even more consequential when it happens if people have been laughing with the characters beforehand. But how do you know if your joke is about the movie itself and not about the situation that the characters are in, if that's going to work at the end of the day?
There's not a ton of jokes in the movie about the movie. Yeah. You wanna sort of, if you're using humor to subvert the deep emotion in a moment, you're not necessarily making a joke about the movie. It's the character in his DNA. Fundamentally, he's got horrible coping mechanisms. I mean, his coping mechanism is the same as mine was when I was younger, which is filter everything through comedy. No matter what I'm feeling, make a joke about it, make light about it. And there's something, not to take too deep a dive, but there's something sort of tragic about that, and there's something also infinitely entertaining to watch that as well. So. It allows us to sort of get away with stuff that you wouldn't normally be able to get away with. So.
You also raise the emotional stakes on this movie as well, I feel like, with your relationship with Marina and your relationship with the kid as well, which I would imagine was even more of a tightrope for the character.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you have a character that's already got some strikes against him. I mean, under the mask, he looks like a guy who fell asleep in a microwave, so he's already in this sort of weirdly militarized shame spiral, but you gotta get him into a place where we understand exactly what he's feeling in relation to other people, and and to do that, you got to take a lot of stuff away from him, and then we go on the ride, then we have fun, and then you really invest in him, and in certain respects, sort of it makes all of the joking permissible. So.
Josh, you're an incredibly funny actor. I think one of my favorite comic performances is in Inherent Vice. And people come in sometimes and they point at your picture. Like other actors come in and they point at your picture and they go, "This is one of the funniest guys in the world."
No, they don't do that.
They do that. One person did that. One person did that.
No.
There's a scene in that movie that I still can't watch.
With the banana scene?
Yes.
Why can't you watch it?
It's
What are you trying to
funniest
tell
thing
me?
I've ever seen in my life.
But you are mostly like pretty serious in this movie, as well as in Infinity War. And I think in this movie you get a couple moments to kind of make some jokes. Do you ever get jealous watching Ryan get
No, I was just
jokes?
thinking, like, even him talking just now, it was like a little kid at an aquarium and seeing like jellyfish for the first time,
Oh, you're the little kid.
I just
Okay.
watch him do his thing. And we've been doing a tour, we just went through Europe, and I find myself just kind of watching him do his thing. It's weird. It's very strange.
In the shower.
Yeah, I'd follow him
hotel
around.
room.
No, it's good. You have to have the opposite. You have to have a nemesis in order to be funny. Him popping around by himself wouldn't be nearly as funny if I wasn't there grunting at him. And that's what I do in this movie. I do a lot of grunting. But you have
perfected the grunt.
I did. I perfected the grunt with your help.
Abel's the adult in the relationship.
It's this Nick Nolte kind of Eddie Murphy, Danny Glover, Mel Gibson. You have to have that volley. You need to see both sides of the spectrum in order to have perspective on it.
Yeah. Did you enjoy doing the action sequences?
I did until afterwards. I'm 50, so that's, we're still paying for it a little bit. I'm going to see a guy right now, Ryan, after this, that Ryan told me about, that's going to help me fix my shoulder after 5 months. But yeah, you get into it, and you got this movie, you have 11 weeks to get in shape, then you do the acts. I know a lot of his guys from 8711. I've done a lot of action sequences myself, a lot of fighting. But when you hit 50, man, it's just a different deal. Yeah, painkillers and steroids next time.
David, do you work with a lot of the stunt guys that you came up with? Because you were doing stunts for a long time before John Wick, right?
Yeah, I mean, the community is really small, the stunt world. So I do know a lot of the people from a lot of different teams, but I do have a core team of guys that are sort of my contemporaries, and then there's a lot of young guys that we brought up and over the years. But it usually ends up being a hybrid of like who's available. A lot of the guys that were on my team and Chad's team, who does John Wick, like they're off doing their own things, and so you build a team from the ground up. But speaking of their training, like. He's underselling it, like in both of these, like they train their ass off. And I think that that's what allows me as a director to shoot it in a compelling way. And so like, it gets annoying that they got to get there and it's like 3 hours and you got to train and warm up and rehearse the same thing over and over. But at the end of the day, it like makes the character so much more compelling from action standpoint.
I'm going to go to audience Q&A in just a second, but Ryan, I want to know, as a proud Canadian, how happy were you to get Celine Dion to do a song for the movie?
I mean, I could retire now. I really do feel like I can retire. There's got to be some sort of like award you get in Canada if you can get Celine Dion to do anything around your, yeah.
You have surpassed Gosling as the golden boy of Canada now because of that.
Fuck that guy. Watch, I'll read about that like in a way, you know, in print it's not nice or funny. I love him. I have his poster on the inside of my eyelids.
Ryan Reynolds to Gosling. Fuck that guy.
No, we had this amazing song, and we were all sitting around trying to figure out who's going to sing it for the movie. It was kind of the theme of the movie, this song called Ashes. And of course, the studio piles up a whole bunch of sort of millennial-friendly type singers that are all incredibly talented, but we just thought, let's go right to the legend. Let's see if we can get her. So we got a way in through her manager. I sent her a long letter describing what Deadpool is and what we're hoping to do, and somehow she got 2 hours later or something, she said yes. And then we said, how about a video? And she said yes to that too. So we went into her stage in Las Vegas, and where the oxygen percentage is like 150%. So we were just laughing the whole time. I don't know how she does that every day in and day out. And
shot like on her stage where she performs in Vegas?
Her home stage. And Dave directed the music video, and we did this thing. It was sort of the music video film tie-in sort of died in the 90s. So we were thinking that's exactly what we want to do. Let's take a completely dead medium and revive it. So we did this sort of movie. Music video tie-in type of thing, and it was just unbelievable. That's probably one of the most fun days I've ever had on a film set. It was amazing.
I also have to ask, after the success of Deadpool, Fox did an R-rated superhero movie with Logan and Wolverine. Do you sort of lord that over Hugh Jackman's head at all, that you are responsible for that?
Yeah.
There we go. Comes to Jackman and Gosling. Yeah, fuck that guy.
Those guys. Hugh Jackman, honestly, is so nice. He makes ice cream look like murder. He's just the sweetest guy on earth, and I'm such a fan of him, and I'm such a fan of that character. And they made it a rated R Logan. I don't think we can take credit for any of that, other than the fact that we just maybe showed that you can, a studio can be successful with an R rating and still reach a mass audience. And what they did with Logan was incredible. It was a Western. It was Shane. It was the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. So yeah.
Let's get some questions from our audience. Who has a question? Right there.
Hey guys. Josh, you've been on both sides of this Marvel universe. What's different about Deadpool 2 and that universe as opposed to Infinity War, and do you prefer one or the other?
Oh.
Who hired you? No, it's, one's, for me specifically, one's practical and one's not practical, even though the manifestation of them, being there was practical, because I did everything there was to do in Avengers, and then it's drawn up or it's enhanced or whatever, but everything, I didn't know that. When I saw Avengers, I was like, holy shit, like I did that. Where it's like, but it's so surreal, whereas this thing, it has all the bells and whistles, but at the same time, everything is kind of grounded and has a gravitas. What they were saying earlier, there's this great storyline, and then you have this irreverency that's all making fun of not only itself a little bit, but what I just did, or what I was doing at the same time. So the more absurd it gets for me in life, the better. Then I feel right at home. But is there one I prefer? No, no. Yes, the Goonies. That's what I prefer.
I loved your performance in Infinity War, and I especially loved when you were watching the film and all of a sudden you could see your sort of physical shape in the character, like you would kind of pop in certain moments and it would be
Long
recognizable.
torso, short legs, short arms, yes. Keep going.
You know the scene I'm talking about. No. I thought that was so cool, and that must be so interesting for an actor to be able to watch one of their performances and not feel like you're sort of
No, it wasn't like
yourself.
loosely based on. I mean, that was the whole point, and that's kind of what I expected. When I did those teasers, I sat down on a chair with a bunch of lights and a bunch of 36 cameras. I never saw the director, and I kind of thought that that's what it was going to be, and I was like, oh, I think I signed up for the wrong thing. But then when we did it, you know, you do half of it, like I say, practically to the actual actors. You're working with the actual actors, and then you're in a stage surrounded by 50 computers and then doing the same scenes to yourself, imagining other people to be there. So for me, I mean, I've said it before, but it was like a Lower East Side black box theater circa 1975 experience. It was like going back to the beginning, except instead of $100, it was $500 million. It was almost the same, but a little different.
Infinity, what?
Next question.
Hi. So you guys, I'm back here.
My God, sorry. The speaker's there, though, so I was like, oh,
sorry.
yes?
So you guys touched upon this a little bit, but of course, on the surface, the movie is a comedy about superheroes. But underneath that, it has a message about accepting misfits. So what's the response to that been like?
I mean, Deadpool's a complete misfit, and I think, you know, we all feel a bit like that. We all feel like, you know, when you're going through something or you don't feel great about something, you sort of process pain in different ways, and I think people relate to that. Deadpool's a guy that, you know, has really, like I said earlier, terrible coping mechanisms. You know, we've all felt like that, but what I think people love about him is that he uses it. You know, it's sort of like verbal or mental judo. He sort of takes this negative energy and turns it into something positive as much as he can. So, you know, I love that. But in terms of like the macro all misfits, I'm not really sure. I don't know. I'd like to get to the bottom. I'll get to the bottom. I'll have my best man look at that, and I'll get to the
That's
bottom.
also just the X-Men universe, sort of in general. I feel like as sort of these misfits coming together, and of that, the Deadpool kids are like the misfits of the misfits, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of like X-Force is slightly, I mean, it's different in terms of X-Men in that these guys are sort of misfits within their own world, you know. But I think the bigger message that we were always saying, like it's this crazy irreverent movie, but there is this sort of connection between Deadpool and the kid, which is sort of the moral of the story that people will get to see, you know, at the end of the movie. So.
Cissy and Julian, what was it like when you guys got cast? What did it feel like when you got the word that you were going to be in Deadpool 2?
Meh. No, it was really cool.
This kid.
I was kind of freaking out, but it was really cool. Just getting. I didn't personally get the call from Fox. That would have been cool though. But no, it was really cool just being able to become a part of this family and just playing like such a different character. You know, playing Fire Fist in the comics, he's like this chiseled, sort of muscly dude. And I remember always watching these movies and never seeing a character that looked like me who was a bit bigger than the other characters. So it was really cool that David and Ryan and the other producers or whatever were able really cool to open up to new ideas, and it was really cool playing this character for other kids who look like me. So they finally have someone in the film who looks like them. So it was really cool. And I'll play that.
Yeah, I was super excited. I cried. But you know, it's sort of this combination of like, you know, having an opportunity to work on something that is really fresh and unique and interesting with these really talented people, but then also kind of this like completely life-changing, you know, I don't think you can really even encapsulate in that moment like how much things are just going to completely flip. And sort of a little bit kind of in the same vein of Julian, you know, the character in the comics, Domino looks very different than what I look like, and that, I don't know, like Fox and Ryan and you are like willing to sort of take that risk, you know, in terms of, you know, people having varying opinions on that, and you know, I really respected that, and that was also really like, I don't know, I was surprised and excited.
Can I just say one thing about the casting too? It was like, and Ryan can attest to this, like so immediate, right? The connection between both these characters,
100%,
like,
yeah. It's, I mean,
it was very immediate. Like we didn't.
Julian, where I saw his, where I don't know if some of you guys saw Hunt for Wilder People, which is one of the most beautiful movies I think ever made. Taika Waititi directed that, and we saw that, and I just was, this kid is so incredible, and we met with Julian. We read a couple scenes, but it was like for both Julian and Zassi, it was halfway through the first scene. I remember looking at you, at Dave, and just, well, this is it. We're done. You know, and that's a great feeling. I mean, it's a great feeling when you bleed this, because like there's nothing in the film world I love more than Deadpool, and when you find the person that is just so perfectly embodies what you're trying to get on screen, it's a great feeling. I mean, literally, I just had a tiny pocket of confetti. I just chucked it right in my own face and went home. It was very exciting.
But you can go home for the rest of the day. You're good.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. It's an amazing feeling. Yeah.
Two more. What? Right here.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is more towards work-life balance. I know you have so many great movies, but you also have two kids.
Yeah.
Super easy,
Yeah.
right? But you also have kids and a beautiful wife. How do you find that balance between coming home, being with the kids, and still being 100% at work? I know it's like super difficult, right? Yeah.
It's so nice when you ask a dude this.
I know, it's actually just glad it was directed at you.
It's true, though.
I was glad it was directed at you and not,
What's that?
I was glad it was directed at you and not the other mom.
It can be to everyone, actually.
No, Josh, what are you wearing?
I don't know.
What are you wearing? Sorry. Well, for me, it's really about prioritizing. You know, we're lucky enough, and this is an obscene luxury that you know we can avoid sort of saying, okay, well, Blake, you're going to go to shoot a movie in Thailand while I'm shooting this movie in Vancouver. We sort of trade off. So you know, she's right. In fact, very shortly, I'm about to go to her set and just watch the kids and be with the kids and stuff like that. So you know, it's about prioritizing it and just really I never want to be on my deathbed, which could very well be this week, and look back and just go, oh, you know, I missed out. You know, I love being with my kids, and
he's very good at it. I mean, I saw him during filming, and he prioritizes in a major way, and going back and forth and doing that thing where he doesn't work and he goes with his wife on a set and all that. That's amazing. Yeah. I didn't have that problem. My kids are older, and I wasn't working a lot when they were young, so I was just home whether I wanted to be or not. You know?
And I also know it's like a huge difference now when you're filming. Do you think about your kids? Like, oh, what if my kid sees this and this and I did this?
Not really.
No, it's just full on.
No,
okay.
No, I mean, I don't know. It's yeah. It's okay. There's lots worse stuff out there that they'll see, I'm sure, than that. But I mean, they love Deadpool. They don't like when I'm in the scar makeup because I can already see them 20 years from now reenacting it with crude sock puppets in a therapist's office. But that traumatized them a little bit. But the suit part they like. Daddy's just a big red clown. Yeah.
Next question. I think it's our last question. Right here.
Kia ora, bro. Just want to ask a question to
Thank you.
Julian. Did you try to teach any of your cast or anything interesting about New Zealand, and were they well received?
They didn't really know where it was or what it was. But no, I think Ryan, you went to New Zealand and you played some rugby.
Time there. I love New Zealand.
Yeah, it was good. 'Cause
yeah, easy. You know, nothing crazy.
It's like Canada 2.0.
Yeah, right.
It's like
boom.
No, not really. I should have, but the haka, you know, most of you guys people not from the All Blacks. We try to do a lot of his jazz hands or his fireballs from that with the coordination and everything, and we did the spit, but they cut it out of the movie. Did they? I don't know.
Yeah, it's on the editing floor. It's done.
Oh yeah,
it's gone.
Oh, it's
No,
gone.
it's
gone.
New Zealand.
Yeah. Okay, calm down, David. No, not really, but it was just cool knowing that I was from New Zealand and taking a bit of home, and I got to keep my accent as well. That was really cool. That was the most important thing to me. It was just able to take a bit of home and put it in this film. Yeah.
Guys, congratulations on the film. It's so funny. It's so great. It comes out this Friday. I mean, I think screenings start Thursday, though, right?
Yeah, Thursday. Yeah, Thursday night. Yeah.
Everybody, please give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
And as they leave, we're going to serenade you all with a masked unicorn performing on a Korean talk show this past weekend. Let's take a look.
The sun'll come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun.
발음 좋은데.
Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and the sorrow till there's none. When I'm stuck with a day that's gray and lonely, I just stick out my chin and grin and say, the sun'll come out tomorrow, so you gotta hang on till tomorrow. Come what may. Tomorrow, tomorrow, I love ya. Tomorrow, you're always a day away.
야, 동심이 있는 분이네. 마이크를 왜 안 내려오지?
Stuck in a day that's gray and lonely, I just stick out my chin